Hello and welcome to the Audio Dad Chronicles. I'm Shale, and today we're taking our first dive on the channel into the music of Postmodern Jukebox with their cover of David Bowie's Heroes. So Postmodern Jukebox has got another cover of David Bowie's Heroes out, this time featuring vocalist Sarah Niemitz. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. And for those that aren't familiar with Postmodern Jukebox, let me read a little blurb for you. They are known as Postmodern Jukebox or Scott Bradlee's Postmodern Jukebox, and they are a rotating musical collective founded in New York by pianist Scott Bradlee in 2011. Postmodern Jukebox is known for reworking popular modern music into different vintage genres, especially early 20th century forms such as swing and jazz. And last year, we went down, myself and the wife, we went down to see them, and they were fantastic. And they do all covers. And like the write-up said, they do modern takes in vintage jazz style and swing forms. So some songs that we got to see when we saw them would include Man, I Feel Like a Woman, Shania Twain, Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes, Where's My Mind by the Pixies, Wannabe, Spice Girls, Black Hole Sun, and they even did the Ocarina of Tap, a collection of music primarily from Legend of Zelda to set the theme and music for a tap dancing routine. They also did some music from Super Mario Brothers, which was rather interesting. And today they are going to be doing David Bowie's Heroes. And now I believe they've done this once in the past with a different vocalist, so I haven't seen that version, but I'm just going to assume this is going to be a bit of a reworking and a little bit of a different style. And definitely know the David Bowie song, Heroes. I'm very, very familiar with that. And it is a very popular song for artists to cover. I looked up a few popular covers to see if I'd recognize any of them, and I do know most of these. It's interesting to know that Depeche Mode, Motorhead, great cover. Blondie, Peter Gabriel have all covered the song, many others, but of them all, I dare say my favorite is Apocalyptica's. Apocalyptica is a cello quartet. In 2007, they made an album called Worlds Collide. If you haven't heard it, listen to it. It is amazing. It is primarily all original songs, but the Worlds Collide idea was this string quartet took modern rock metal singers, a drummer, Josh Freese, if memory serves me correctly, a name that definitely pops up a lot these days, and they did some little more heavier songs. You know, they made it sound, like modern rock kind of a music. They put distortion on their cellos, and they had singers and things like that. And one of the songs that's on it is called Helden. Helden is German for heroes. It is sung by Till Lindemann of Rammstein. It is fantastic. He did the whole thing in German. It's amazing. Look it up if you haven't heard it. I strongly recommend it. But anyways, let's get into this David Bowie cover, done 2026 style. In the style of vintage swing or jazz. Time will tell on that one, but let's go.
I will be king.
Very stripped down so far. I like it. Intimate. Smoky.
You will be queen, though nothing can drive them away. We can beat them just for one day. We can be heroes.
Nice voice.
Just for one day.
Very whispery, very intimate. Brushes out on the drummer.
You can be me. And I'll drink all the time. 'Cause we're lovers, and that's a fact. We're lovers, and that is that. Though nothing can keep us together we can steal time just for one day. We can be heroes forever and ever. What you say?
We had a quick little pause there. It sounds like they're really going to build up the intensity on this. Let's just take a quick little look at the stripped down setup they've got going this time. Now, of course, we've got Scott Bradlee over there on the left on the piano. In the back behind him, we've got an upright bass player. Big fan of that. I got one myself over in the corner. Way too awkward to dig it out at this time. We might show that off at a later date. Speaking of, my upright bass is due for new strings, and I'm going to be changing the strings on it pretty soon here. Just going to be doing a little bit of post-Christmas cleanup, and then I'm going to be busting it out and putting on some new strings that I got at Christmas time. And I thought, being a roadie, being a former guitar tech, would anything like that interest you? Would you want to see what it takes to change the strings on an upright bass? I might set up the camera and just kind of walk through the process. If you all like to see that, let me know. Leave a comment. I might just film that for you guys. Time will tell on that one. Moving on, of course, we've got the singer up front. Very stripped down, low-key drum kit. He's playing the brushes. And I'm really digging what's going on so far on the guitar. That's a Telecaster, and he has got these very elongated sounds going. Excuse me. What he's doing there is what's known as a volume swell. There's no pedals or anything on the ground. But I noticed when he first started playing that the sounds were very what they call swells. That's where what he's doing is he has got his volume on his guitar turned off. So there's no sound coming out, and he hits a note, so it's silent. But then he uses his finger, and if you watch, he's going to have his pinky sticking out. And he's hooked it on the volume knob, and he's swelling the notes in. So they have silence, and then they're coming in. Very, very cool effect. And he's using it very tastefully. I'm loving it so far. And of course, the singing looks like we're about to get it amped up a bit. They're going to give a little more energy here, so we don't want to ruin that moment. We'll just back up a touch and let it happen.
And that is
But I love her voice.
though nothing can keep us together.
Using great mic technique, coming in close for intimacy, and probably will be backing away when she belts a little bit more.
We can be heroes.
It comes above it, so she doesn't overpower it.
And ever.
Great technique.
What you say?
Woo! Okay, wow. Need a second to calm down. Killer solo by Scott there. That was really, really cool, letting himself tear loose like that, giving himself the solo. The guitar player's now stepped things up a little bit. He's got a slide going on with that as well. So he's sliding between notes with looks like a steel or a chrome metal slide. And the aesthetic, the layout that they're going for here is very in tune with what they normally do with their swing 30s jazz stylings. But at least here, as of the time of this filming, we're a couple of days into 2026. Where was this song New Year's Eve? Because this would have just sold. This would have been so good to have seen and heard this come New Year's Eve, just because they got that partied vibe going to it. But either way, this is really cool. Let's let this happen again. Great mouth technique.
Just for one.
Very wide open. She's lifting her voice up. This is a trained vocalist.
Just for one day.
Great diction. Great technique in her mouth and a use of her throat opening it up.
Standing by the wall and the guns shot above our heads, and we kissed like no night can fall, and the shame it was on the other side. Yes, we could be there
Ooh.
forever. We
Sing
can
it.
be heroes just for one day. Yeah, yeah. We can be heroes just for one day. You gotta believe it.
Yeah.
We can be heroes just for one day.
Gorgeous. There we are. Sarah Niemiec on vocals, Anthony Castanaga on electric guitar, Jimmy Sullivan on upright bass. That was a killer, tasteful groove he had going there on that upright. Dug that. Brandon Coombs on drums, pardon me. And Scott Bradlee on piano, of course. Very well done and arranged and produced by Scott Bradlee, as is usual with Postmodern Jukebox. That was really cool. I'm going to have to check out the other version because I know they've done this a few years back with a different singer, but I might just do that on my own time. But either way, I really enjoyed that. That was a great cover of a classic song. I'm really glad you all came along for the ride on this one, and I hope to see you again.